Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Book Review Vlog. Today I'm going to review the book Under the Dome by Stephen King. You may recognize its thickness. It was over 1,000 pages, so I bid your forgiveness. I can't exactly give a synopsis of the book, in great detail because, again, it's over 1,000 pages long. I imagine this is similar to my reviews on The Stand and It, just because, again, of its length, and there are just so many characters in the book, which I like. I like when a book has a lot of characters in it. Um, and I was thinking as I was reading, when looking forward to doing this review, what characters to focus on. And there are definitely major characters in this book, and so I can touch up on a little of them. But first I want to explain what happens. In the book Under the Dome, there's a town called Chester's Mill. It's in Maine. If you want to, again, it's a fictional town. If you want to, the only reference to other towns is more fictional towns. They say it's near Castle Rock, or it's in the same county as Castle Rock. So, don't know how much that helps you, but and on, I believe it's a Saturday, October 18th, or May 17th or 18th, the Chester's Mill was invaded by a dome, and I don't think it was ever occurred why it was put there. It just kind of happened because certain things happened in the very beginning of the book that coincided with the dome, like literally crashed into the dome. So, one moment it was there and one moment it wasn't there and one moment it was. So, but with the arrival of the dome, this has caused a major stress on the town because now they can't get out of their town, and essentially they're stuck. So one of the characters that was one of the first ones to see the dome is a character named Dale Barbara. He's a colonel in the U.S. Army. He's retired. He's not in the Army anymore, and he's known as Barbie. And he was on his way out of town when the dome fell, and he just happened to miss going out of town when the dome fell. So he was stuck in Chester's Mill. And another character is Big Jim Rennie, who he's the second selectman of the town. The first selectman is a man by the name of Andy Sanders. But Big Jim is more the one in charge of the town. He just wants Andy Sanders to just kind of take the blame for all the things that he does, which I'll kind of go into, and definitely when you read this book, you'll know what I'm talking about. Big Jim has a son named Junior, James Rennie Jr., but all his name is Junior. And the newspaper of Chester's Mill is the Democrat, and it's run by a woman named Julia Shumway. And so that's kind of little major characters of the town, and then again there's more, and then there's countless minor characters. So one of the things that happens when this dome falls is that another kind of minor character his name is Howie Perkins. People in town call him Duke. He's the police chief of Chester's Mill. He has been trying to investigate Jim Rennie for the potential of that Jim Rennie is running a meth ring, and along with numerous other people in the town, kind of similar, like Andy Sanders and other police people know about it, and other people in the kind of government of Selectman Rennie and things like that, and Sanders, and then there may be there's another select woman who may or may not have known about it. But of course Rennie wanted to keep it quiet, and that's how he's getting all this money, because Jim Rennie is very rich, and he he wants to keep kind of a low profile, but again, he's acquiring so much money that it just kind of becomes overwhelming. And so, but unfortunately, Duke Perkins ends up dying on like the first day. They call it Dome Day, the first day the dome fell, because he got too close to the dome. And the dome has kind of a magnetic electrical field around it, where if you get too close and you have things like a pacemaker, which is what Duke Perkins had, his pacemaker exploded, and so Duke died. But his wife, her name was Brenda. She knew about the meth ring and tries to help out with that. And I'm not going to tell you what happened with that, but because again, I want you to read the book. But it was, again, this book was very good in the fact that, again, there was a lot of characters in it and a lot of just things that happened because of this dome. Now, on the outside of the dome, outside of Chester's Mill, there were army guys that came, and this became like world or national news, according to this book, where they mentioned like Anderson Cooper was at the scene of the dome and talked to, people of his thing and did all that. So, anyway, I'm sorry that this is kind of really short and kind of staccato. Like I do know what I'm talking about. It's just really hard to explain, just because basically the whole premise of this book is how a town reacts and how a town lives under this dome. So if you are familiar with the TV special that CBS has done, I think it's now in the next summer going to start its third season. I've been watching it. It's really gone past the book. So if you like the miniseries, please read the book. But even though it's gone past the book, the miniseries is still pretty good. So it just happens that it goes along because it's a serial show. It just has to go further than the book. But I'm surprised that that's done so well, and hopefully it will continue, but in my opinion, it kind of needs to end soon, and you kind of, if you are familiar with the book and figure out, you kind of know how it ends, or maybe it'll end kind of like how the book ends, but I'm not going to tell you that because I want you to read the book. So anyway, I hope you do read this book. Again, don't feel overwhelmed of its length. Yes, I do know it's very long, but it's a good read. What I ended up doing for the most of the book was I listened to the audiobook, which was very good. And my audiobook just kind of cut out at the end, so I had to read the rest. But anyway, that was still fine. The next book that I'm going to read by Stephen King is actually a novella. And I want to alert my viewers and let them know that I'm going to be putting out videos pretty quickly from now on until the rest of the year, because I am reaching the end of my Stephen King reviews, and really he hasn't really put out any more novels up to this point that I haven't reviewed yet. He's put out a lot of novellas and a little like a collection of novellas coming up, and then hopefully by the end of the year, I will have his new book where I've requested it from the library, which I can read and give that to you before the year is out. So I hope that happens, and I bid you all farewell and happy reading.